And across the town in another borough, he had a totally black altar. Of course, as soon as the media found out that, oh my God, Aleister Crowley has a black altar in London, all the papers dealt only with the black temple. That was, designed in black colors and black, candles and the black veils hanging down. Not one journalist covered the fact, but he's got the opposite on the other side. The man is doing everything based on balance. You see what I'm saying? So now these controllers often understand this. So they have a certain amount of reverence for the gods of the dead, and they also involve themselves in a certain amount of balance, because as psychopathic as their following is, as their path is, they're not stupid either. They've also realized that if you're too much sun, if there's too much ego, if there's too much of the one side, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be good. So they do have agents who operate on the other side as well. They've incorporated a certain amount.
I guess that they know how the how should I put it, the processes almost of creation, the universe, that there is this dichotomy, there is this two sides, and in order to again progress something forward, we have the Hegelian dialectic and all of that, of course, that this is how you make stuff move, to progress, to move forward. So
that's right.
That's what you're saying here, I guess.
They've grown up. They've understood that, okay, Akhenaten and maybe two or three of the guys that came after him, they're just way too far extreme. But they're the pharaoh, that's allowed, that's okay. In practical terms, we've got to run and do the dirty work. We can't just be as extremist as them. That's what these lieutenants understood, and that you have to balance. You have to balance it, no matter what.
Could this have gone so out of balance? Because we hear this talk about, the white brotherhood and the black brotherhood, basically. There is this ancient, either if it's secret societies or actually some kind of other, entities. We don't have to go there, but that this have gotten so out of balance that actually this very split has taken place, meaning that there is now these two sides fighting each other, and that this has been kind of the outcome of a very unbalanced, life philosophy, basically.
Yes, it is. They see, again, you have to look at it from two sides. They feel perfectly justified. Remember we talked about in a previous show that, first of all, they think we're just their wayward, lost children, so they can treat us harshly. But they won't eradicate us completely because they still have a sort of fondness for us, They also might think that, look, we are just the mugs, we need to be controlled. Look, man is moving towards a utopia, and all you people who believe in national tribes and tribalism and nations, you just got to go. Our New World Order will, solve this problem, and we know you don't like it. See, they're fixated. I mean, if people watch the movie, Things to Come, the H.G. Wells thing, you'll get an idea, of how super possessed these people are. And with this idea that we're heading towards this great solar utopia. From their point of view, they believe that. And therefore they feel that the end justifies the means. And they look at anybody who is disgruntled or anyone that, sort of stands up against this as a deep enemy of them. Because they're thinking back at the Ammonists. They're thinking, oh, we already defeated you guys. Where are you coming back with all of this stuff? The Druids are gone. We don't want any of this. We're doing what's for your own good. I'm telling you that these people never lie down. They're never finished. For every new advancement that true humanity makes, they retaliate with something more. Remember, they're headlong now. There's no stopping them into virtual reality, into creating the global brain, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Just like the internet, they're super interested in connecting all the minds of the human race.
Yep.
In some sort of, isn't that occult? These are the same people telling you there's no such thing as occultism 1 minute, and no such thing as the unconscious, and then today they're talking about the global brain, hooking you all up like you're in the internet. I mean, this is this global suicide because, as I said, the human race is under danger. What makes a person truly human is under danger.
Yeah.
It's not that 2012 is the end of mankind; it's the end of mankind's history, as much as we have known. Huge changes are already taking place. Tomorrow, I predict the Vatican will turn around and literally discover a Christ-like being they're going to put in front of you.
Yeah,
they're under threat.
Yeah,
and remember, they never by the philosophy that they never sleep, they never sit down. Predict with me then what would be the next wonderful find to keep Judeo. I mean, we've already had a rise in evangelism in America. Right? Let's look at this. So Christianity has suffered a great decline in many years. I mean, last year it was the lowest turnout in Spain for the Pope's arrival. The Spanish could care less now about Catholicism, you see. So they notice this. They shake about this. They get into fear. They think, my goodness, what would happen tomorrow if all of Latin America start listening to what Father Rivera has said and the anti-Jesuits, you see? What happens if we're losing people? The young are getting on with their lives, they're doing their thing. They don't want to, this is just so old for them. We might be losing the reins of control. They're terribly scared of this.
Yeah.
So then they go, oh, we found the tomb of Jesus.
Yep.
Haven't they done that in the last
very
month?
recently? Yeah,
right,
of course.
2006, suddenly they found the tomb of Jesus. Not a single archaeologist of any repute confirms that, so they got to roll that one up. Right? Doesn't work. Tomorrow they're going to say, oh, we found the Temple of Solomon.
Well, again, there's always these reports coming out there, and even though they're interesting because they point to some that they find something, of course, and ancient monuments are always interesting to see, but I guess what you're saying here is that they will look at anything that they find down there and say, oh, look, this is evidence for the historical. This is a historical facts that connects with the Bible,
That's right. You see, they don't discount anything, and the main agenda is to keep the status quo going. So they don't mind bending the rules a little bit. They were threatened by the Dead Sea Scrolls for reasons we've gone in other areas, and I have a huge section on that in the book as to what the real mystery of the Dead Sea Scrolls was. But then they're going to say, they found a few shards of some temple. Doesn't mean it's the Temple of Solomon, but it makes great headlines in Time magazine.
Of course.
And since it's the Knights Templar who are running Time magazine, they're going to do whatever story you want them to do. They're all in bed together, right?
Yeah.
And so is most of the newspapers of the world. So if they tell you from the headquarters of Opus Dei or whatever that, hey, you're going to say this is a remnants of the Temple of Solomon, you better believe it's going to say Temple of Solomon discovered.
Yeah.
All right? No question about it. What you think or what the archaeologists say, that's unimportant. Then tomorrow, as they find that more and more people slip off from this thing, or they think it's more of a relic, all they got to do is turn around in a sort of a scenic way and say, we've even found the bloodline of Jesus.
Well, there are people out there that say that they have.
Right. Of course, there's always people like that.
Yeah.
Isn't it? There's people who say they're descended from the Stuarts. Just because nobody pays them any mind now doesn't mean that tomorrow, when the media network gets behind it, that they won't be really paying attention tomorrow.
Yeah.
If this some result is more people in churches, more people going back to read the Bible, more people going back to Orthodox Christianity, believe me, they'll do it. If they can already have insane people like, Van Imp and Hagee and all these evangelists who are just incredibly mad, and most people, insane people in the world, are laughing at these guys. But yet these people are funded with millions of dollars. Then let nothing surprise you tomorrow. And that if tomorrow they need to throw up a person who qualifies as a bloodline of Jesus type person, as we know, the Maitreya, they have the whole thing of Maitreya, the betrayer, or whatever,
Yeah.
So it's quite possible. Don't ever think for a moment that they're going to go down without a fight. And they know exactly how to push the button tomorrow to find out that, listen, we're going to reveal to you now why we have maintained the Vatican all of these years, why we've done this, because secretly, without you knowing it, we have in fact been preserving the true bloodline of Jesus. Look how brilliant that would be. Instead of refuting all the people who talk about this cover-up, they actually turn around and go, oh, okay, guys, we'll go with it. What just happened within the last 2 weeks? The Vatican are now going to exonerate the Knights Templar.
That's right, exactly, yeah.
I'm interested in that.
Me
because
too.
It fits. Why would you just do that?
Yeah, and exactly on the 700-year anniversary also of their, basically excommunication from the Catholic
All I
Church,
hope is that they also add the little footnote, and we funded them too, guys. Bet you didn't know that one.
Exactly.
Not that they will, but it would be wonderful if they just add that anecdote at the end.
Yeah.
Going, oh yeah, by the way, we started them, funded them, and ended them as well, so they're all our game. This is what people get to realize. So listen, if they're going to what on earth would possess them to wake up one day and go, oh gee, I feel real bad about what happened to the Templars. Let's do a big public thing and invite them to dinner.
Yeah, say we're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I thought there wasn't meant to be any Knights Templars around to say sorry too.
But there are.
But they must be. Right, so what's going on here? Why that date? Why even bring up the term Knights Templar? I thought you were the guys that didn't want to hide our hair of that. Too many movies have already exposed. Why is that? Because now when you exonerate them, you're giving the go-ahead for more movies to be made about them, for more editorials and newspapers and more journalists to go over there and go knock knock. I would like to do a story with you. Aren't you the lead Grand Master of the Knights Templar?
Yeah. And they're beginning to, again, the popularity are rising because of movies of the Da Vinci Code and all
That's
this,
right.
So
next thing you're going to know is the Grand Master's on Oprah Winfrey telling all. What's going on here? Hope reveals all. Well, they're using Templar crosses, Templar roses, Templar skulls and bones all over the Vatican. You go around for an ice cream in Rome, you're tripping all over them. I mean, come on, the symbols are everywhere. The whole blinking plaza of St. Peter's is designed like a Scottish thistle. Well, Scottish equals Templar. To anyone who knows anything about this subject, you say Scotland, you mean Templar. So it's a Templar thistle, because the Templars, when they spent time in Scotland, obviously adopted the thistle as their native symbol.
Yeah.
So now the Vatican in Rome is shaped like a thistle. Listen, that's small potatoes. The Rome itself is aligned to the Newgrange Tumulus. Let's get into the thistles. Let's go beyond that. The whole city is aligned to one of the most ancient monuments of the Druids, in which, guess what happens every winter solstice, my friend? The sun and the moon enter into the same chamber. They cross the horizon. They rise on the winter solstice, right? The sunlight slowly crawls along the landscape until it hits the stone, the great standing stone that's standing outside the door of Newgrange. Just like something out of Indiana Jones, the shadow of the stone creeps closer to the sun window of the tomb itself. And exactly at the same second as the shadow of the great standing stone hits the door, the light enters straight above, 7 feet high. It goes through this window and goes into the inner sanctum of the temple. So the shadow and the light enter precisely at the same time. This thing was developed thousands of years ago. Precise geometry, right? When it hits the inner temple, it falls right beside 3 spirals. Right now, first of all, it's entered into an inner room, which is representing your inner mind, your inner chamber of your being. Or people can take it sexually, that it represents the phallic sun going into the vagina, which is all absolutely legitimate. But it can also represent the sunlight of knowledge. Remember, they're solar cult people. The Druids were not a warped solar cult. They were a balanced solar cult. Because on the night following the sun's entrance into Newgrange, the moonlight also enters in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that was considered that the goddess has now arrived. But the 3 spirals on the back of the chamber, and it lasts for about 17 seconds, that sunlight, and then it vanishes. So the Vatican and Rome is aligned with an ancient temple of Ireland, is already staggering, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's aligned to a temple that happened to have this phenomena take place, which is the androgyny, the supernucleation of the opposites of light and dark. You want to know why these people are empowered? That's the reason. Because they are symbolically awakened. They're using the celestial forces. They're using numerology, astrology, Kabbalah. They're using all of that stuff. They've designed their cities based on it. Their thinking is part by it. Their deeds of operation are based on the sidereal zodiac, you see. It's really profound what they're into. And this is the knowledge. Why I'm into this is because this is the same knowledge that should be given to worthy human beings. Shouldn't be given to the unworthy. That's not what I'm saying. But I got a belief that the unworthy couldn't use it anyway because they couldn't pass the first trials that this knowledge requires. This knowledge is sacred. It is heavy. It does demand a certain attention and a certain, sacredness.
Wow. So, I mean, again, all of this that we have been talking about here and so much more, of course, is included in your new book, The Irish Origins of Civilizations. Yeah. For people who are, interested and want to, get a copy, is there a way people can pre-order? How does that work? Is it out yet, or do you know when it's going to be out?
Next month. It's been out of my hands for a couple of months because we've just been editing it and laying it out. Remember, it's 2-volume set. It's a 2-volume set. The first one is volume 1 is the Servants of Truth, which is about the Druids, and the subtitle is Druidism, Traditions and Influence Explored. So it's just for people who may be new to the subject of Druidism. This book cuts through a lot of the lies that have been told in other books. The first thing that this book does, I think, in my mind, is that it really puts on record the genocide of the Druids, which has always been a footnote of history. If you open a book on Druidism or Celts or goddess worship or Ireland, you will always hear about the destruction of the Druids. But you'll read about 2 lines and that's it. It rarely gets more than a paragraph, and I'm serious about that because, believe me, I've read almost every book there is out on that subject. Some of them have been written recently. They're all good books and everything, but when it comes to the actual destruction of the Druids, you'll hear about, the Druids